You guys are watching the Cowboys Report. I am Tom Downey. I'm laying out what I think is both a realistic and somewhat ideal Cowboys free agency plan for the 2025 NFL offseason. I let Chris pick the photos on this one. You crushed it, by the way, my friend. Who would make a better GM? Type TD for me or JJ for Jerry Jones. Is it tongue-in-cheek? Sure. Is it wrong? No. Go vote, TD or JJ, in the comments section of today's show. Now, as of filming in our Thursday live show, the Cowboys have roughly, give or take, $54 million in salary cap space. That is 8th, top 10 among all NFL teams. They are also tied for 9th in players under contract. It's not like they're not paying anybody. They're paying some guys. They're just not paying them a lot of money. They can spend, and they need to spend. Now, I'm not going to count this next step as one of my 7-step plan for the Cowboys free agency plan, but it's paying Micah Parsons. I don't get the vibe, fingers crossed I'm wrong, but I don't get the vibe the Cowboys will actually prioritize a Micah Parsons extension in the next 5 or so days before free agency. But I spent about 10 minutes doing this contract, and about the same amount of time I spent doing the CeeDee Lamb one, which was also spot on. I'll do 5 years. Cowboys get what they want. The 5-year deal that they always covet. $190 million per year. That's $38 million on average. $120 million guaranteed. And that is a $10 million cap hit in 2025. That would save around $14 million if they were to do this contract. You pay Micah Parsons and you save money in the short term and really the long term, because that becomes the bar that Aiden Hutchinson and Jamar Chase and Myles Garrett eventually all end up surpassing. It's a lot. It's fine. The cap's rising. Get it done. It shouldn't be as hard as the Cowboys often make it. Now, with that in mind, we'll go to the realistic but ideal free agency plan. I will go player by player, and I'll mention some projections for the contract as well. Step 1, let's re-sign your guys. You like your guys, right? I'm going to re-sign Jordan Lewis. I'm going to re-sign Rico Dowdle. I like Carl Lawson. I'm going to bring him back. Semi-free squares of Kevontae Turpin, Marquise Bell as restricted free agents. And you can bring back others too. You know, maybe you want to bring back your punter and your long snapper. With the top 51 rule, the top 51 contracts count, so you can re-sign like Trent Sieg to the vet minimum. The cap hit change, the cap space change is like less than $500,000. It's a rounding error for me at this point. But let's go some more notable players here. Jordan Lewis. Spotrac projects 2 years, $4.5 million. PFF projects 2 years, $7 million with $4 million guaranteed. It's a rough estimate. It's a good guideline. It's not gospel. It's not locked in stone. PFF is pretty good with these over the years. I'm inclined to trust them. Rico Dowdle. Spotrac projects 1 year, $6.2 million. PFF projects 3 years, $15 million with $8.5 million guaranteed. Again, those are rough ballparks for what those guys are going to cost. Now, that is different than their cap hits, and we'll use PFF for both of these. I think the Jordan Lewis year 1 cap hit, $3 million. Rico Dowdle, $3 million. Carl Lawson, I kind of think that 1 year, $3 million range. No one wanted him last year. Bring him back for that. Turpin and Marquise Bell, those are the RFA tenders for second-round tender and right of first refusal tender. I can get all of those cap hits on my books and have around $36 million in salary cap space. It's a lot of money. That's a lot of money to spend on the open market before I potentially save more by extending Micah Parsons. But even with re-signing some of my own guys, I have the ability to go out and be selectively aggressive with talent. So with that in mind, how many outside free agents will the Dallas Cowboys end up signing? The answer is low, I get it. Let me know in the comment section, the pinned comment of today's show. I'm going to be specific on these, but if you want to slot in somebody else in a similar range, go for it. No complaints. I'm going to go with Dre Greenlaw. He's coming off injury. It's a Blue Star special. There is a connection with Nick Sorensen, who was his DC in San Francisco, who is now the special teams coordinator in Dallas. And for all these guys, I will show what the PFF contract projection is. Now, PFF projects 1 year, $6 million for Greenlaw. You're buying low, coming off the injury. I'm all for this. I saw how good Dre Greenlaw was when healthy. I'm looking for a stopgap option that if he plays great, maybe I can extend him next offseason. So I will let Eric Kendricks leave, and I'll bring in Dre Greenlaw for like $3.5 million more on my salary cap. And then I've got Overshown once he's healthy, and Greenlaw, and Leofau. And I feel pretty damn good about my linebacking core. And if I want to cut Damone Clark, I save $3 million. I like that one. Number 3, I've done this one like a lot over the past 3 years. Maybe it'll work this time. I'm going to sign Poona Ford in free agency as well. I have Oso Odighizuwa locked up long-term as my 3 technique. I still want a veteran 1 technique. I think Poona Ford is a perfect fit for that. He's become a journeyman defensive lineman over the years, bouncing around Seattle, Buffalo. He was awesome in LA, and he has consistently been a lower-level contract player. PFF's projection, 1 year, $3.5 million. You can add void years if you want. I'm just going to assume it's just the full cap hit on 1 year. $3.5 million for Poona Ford. Now I'm not banking on Mozzie Smith being a breakout player. If he does, great. I've got 2 nose guards. If not, I've got Poona Ford to play a bunch of snaps for me. Let's go to offense finally. Number 4, Will Hernandez, the offensive guard. There's the obvious connection here with Clayton Adams. He's also coming off injury. Again, it's the Cowboys. I'm trying to be realistic. They love to win the deal, right? They love doing that. Hernandez was playing pretty damn well before he got hurt. And he was effusive in his praise of Clayton Adams. So if the money's tight, if the money's close, maybe Dallas wins. The PFF projection is higher than I thought, but it's 2 years, 9.5, with only $3 million guaranteed. So I'll assume a $3 million cap hit, which really becomes it's a 1 year, cut him if you need to afterwards. He can plug right in and replace Zach Martin. You know, Zach Martin's going to retire. I guess actually did retire officially, I should say. You let him compete with Brock Hoffman, TJ Bass. If he wins the job, awesome. You're not paying him much. If he does, you're paying him normal backup guard money. He can play left guard for you too. I'm knocking out my needs on that front. Number 5, I was going to go with DeMarcus Walker, but I also know how the Cowboys operate. And they love I call this the Will McClay special. The former highly touted was almost a Cowboys legend draft pick, Kayvon Chasen, who finally showed growth. He finally took a step forward this past season. He had 5 sacks this past year with the Las Vegas Raiders. He began to look like the guy that I kind of always thought he could be. I was kind of high on him coming out. He looked like that guy this year. And again, it's cheap. This is, in many ways, the new version of the Terrell Basham contract. 2 years, $6.8 million is what Spotrac projects. The guaranteed's also probably about $3 million, so you can sign him for a year and then potentially cut him as well. And I look at this edge rushing room, and I go, okay, you got Micah. I'm hopeful about Marshawn Nealon. I want Sam Williams healthy. But if I go Micah and Nealon and Sam Williams and Carl Lawson and Kayvon Chasen, it's not a superstar room, but there's a lot of growth there. And I can still draft somebody if I want as well. I want you to name a free agent who you want to sign. So far, I haven't gone very expensive. Intentionally so. I will have some expensive names coming up here after this break. But let me know a free agent who you want to sign. Let's right a wrong. Let's go sign Charvarius Ward, the cornerback from the 49ers. Ward was once a Cowboy. The ill-gotten trade, the infamous trade of Parker Ehringer, who didn't make any impact at all for the Cowboys, for Ward, a UDFA was a colossal mistake. I don't know when Trayvon Diggs will be healthy. I know that there is some frustration from the Cowboys front office. Ward is coming off a limited season because he didn't get to play because of the tragedy he suffered off the field. I have not spent much money in free agency. PFF projects a 3-year, $43.5 million deal, $25 million guaranteed. That's a rough cap hit on the high end of $8 million. I can make that work. I can re-sign Jordan Lewis. I can have Deron Bland. I can have depth for I don't know when Trayvon Diggs will come back. I can bring Kalen Carson along slowly. Travarius Ward is a dog at corner. I am a big fan of his game. If I can fix my wrong of trading him away in the first place, in a cornerback market that I don't see a lot of good value options, maybe I spend a bit more and go value options at other positions. Now, that still leaves around $15 million in salary cap space. All these projections kind of factor in, draft picks and everything too. So I've got one more spot I want to address. Before we get to that, we will be live for NFL free agency. Come hang with us. Hit that sub button, youtube.com/Cowboys TV. If the Cowboys do stuff, we will react to it. If they don't, we will vent about it. Number 7, I would like to, and I'll go choose your own adventure here. I will sign a veteran wide receiver. I would like to get one of these, so I don't have to draft somebody in the first 2 rounds. My question is this, and I don't know what the answer is. I will admit that. Can I find one for $10 to $15-ish million? It allows me to not have to take one, but if I want to take one, I can. You are filling needs and not having to force draft picks in round 1 and round 2. If not, I could probably get someone in round 1, round 2. I don't have that many needs I want to fill. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. But there are options. Now, I suspect Devontae Adams probably going to be too expensive. I'll mention him. Lockett's a free agent. Amari Cooper. Stephon Diggs. Hopkins. Marquise Brown really intrigues me. Buddies with CeeDee Lamb. Has done the mercenary thing. Didn't get paid a lot by the Chiefs. Might not be as expensive. If Cooper Kupp gets cut, that's one for me. Darius Slayton fits your outside vertical threat role. Keenan Allen, can he do some outside stuff for you? Elijah Moore, if he can do that too. I think there is the potential, maybe you play a bit of a waiting game, but I think you could find a veteran wide receiver that fits your budget. Although I will say, Tutu Atwell getting $10 million does concern me with what this receiver market could end up looking like. So I want honest feedback here, because I can take criticism, unlike the Jones boys at times. Grade my Cowboys free agency plan. A, B, C, D. I try to keep it realistic. Let me know what you think. A, B, C, D, or F. Now look, I didn't fill all my needs. I want another back. I could take that guy on day 2. I probably still want to get another receiver. I also want to get another DT. That could come in the 5th round potentially. But what I think this does, it allows me to do what the Cowboys do best. That is draft the best player available in round 1, regardless of position. That is my goal every free agency. Let me take the best player on my board in round 1. It's been a couple years since the Cowboys actually were able to do that.